6. A lot of twos and some sixes in there. Good morning and welcome to the Ignition News. It is February 26, 2026. I have to reflect on the fact that there are less days in February, obviously. I kind of forgot about that. I did, if I'm being honest with you. I was like mapping out the rest of the month and I was like, wait a minute, it's not leap year, is it? And then February has less days. Famously, February has less days in the month. It's easy to forget that when you're busy fighting fascism. Today is Thursday, February 26th. A little bit of fun historical facts for you. I've been trying to boost the morale here. Uh, Here's some fun fact. In 1848, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels published their pamphlet in London, the Communist Manifesto. Regardless of one's political views, friends, the document remains one of the most influential critique of corporate and class in modern history, and it fundamentally altered the global political landscape. That happened today. The first color motion picture came out in 1909. And in 1993, this was the first World Trade Center bombing. I think a lot of people think about September 11th. If you're an elder millennial like myself, you will recall that this was sort of a precursor. It was a sort of a different attack, but basically there was a truck that went to the basement of the North Tower. In 2012, Trayvon Martin today was killed in Sanford, Florida, and he became a catalyst of a new era of civil rights in the United States, reminding us, of course, that we have yet made the progress necessary. In 1991, the first web browser, originally called World Wide Web, later Nexus, debuted. In 1932, Johnny Cash debuted the song. Actually, no, I was wrong. In 1932, Johnny Cash was born. Levi Strauss was also born today. And the author of Les Miserables, Victor Hugo, also born today. A lot of stuff happened today. Let's see. Why did the corporate lawyer cross the road? To claim they were never actually on the road and that any physical contact with the pavement was strictly voluntary, non-binding, and non-coordination. That was not my best show joke to start out with. It is National Chili Day and National Toast Day, so that's kind of fun. Good morning, everyone. Let's get into the stories today. I have just 3 stories today, but they are very important stories today. They really tell a story of where we're going. And then, in the spirit of Rebel Radio, I actually have a challenge for you. It's been a while since I've given you a challenge, a way to be a direct activist in your community. But I've been doing something recently as a result of a documentary we're filming. And I think it's a really good form of activism. And it talks about capitalism, surveillance capitalism. So if you stick to the end of the show, I'm going to give you a way that's very easy, that's very legal, and very effective to protest. Okay, it's going to be you're going to like it. If you're worried about that kind of stuff, because like, oh, the fascists are coming for grandma on the street with her sign. Well, you're going to want to stick around for this one. Okay, so let's get into it. Welcome to the Ignition News. This is your source for daily news updates. I give you crucial information, really in the spirit of keeping democracy alive, keeping you updated and informed. We're streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, Substack, Spotify, and TikTok. If you're over on TikTok, do me a favor. We've been getting the warnings lately. So comment, like, share, blah, 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 all that stuff. Let's get into it. Story number 1. I'm sure many of you have heard versions of this story today. But I want to talk to you a story about a man who survived an actual genocide, but could not survive living on the streets of America. His name was Nurul Amin Shah Alam. He's 56 years old. He was Rohingya. He was a stateless Muslim minority from Myanmar, people who have been described by the United Nations as the most persecuted minority in the world. He survived a military genocide in Burma that the United States itself officially classified as a genocide. Interesting that the United States picks and chooses what it classifies as genocide. He survived displacement, statelessness, and he lived as a refugee. This was literally a stateless human being. We don't talk about this often, but when your state dissolves and you are cast into the world and you're a stateless person, it is the international community's responsibility to help you find stability, housing, a place to belong, a place to live, and a place to prosper. These are basic human tenets. They're basic human tenets of our mutual shared survival. And the idea that someone survived all of that genocide, displacement, statelessness, hunger, starvation, war. He arrived in Buffalo, New York on December 24th, 2024, Christmas Eve. This man is nearly blind. He was completely sightless in one eye, and he had only the vision of a few feet in his other eye. He could not read or speak English, and he needed walking sticks to get around. He was found dead. He was found dead on a Buffalo street this Tuesday night. Health related. But let us be very clear, this man should be alive. And the chain of failures that led to his death is a damning portrait of this president's country. These fake fucking Christians who claim that they support this man because he's a man of God. A stateless, blind refugee died on an American street. A man who should have been lifted up and protected, who survived atrocities but could not survive this fascist country. In February of last year, he went for a walk in his neighborhood. It was the first walk since arriving in the country. He needed a walking stick, so he brought a curtain rod that he bought at a store. Couldn't afford a walking stick. He got confused because he is almost completely blind. And remember, he does not speak English. He wandered onto someone's porch. When Buffalo police arrived and gave him commands, he couldn't understand. So he could not comply. You cannot comply with a command from a police officer you do not understand. He was tasered and beaten. He was charged with 2 counts of assaults on an officer for carrying that curtain rod that he needed to walk around. And then he sat in a holding center for 13 months. 13 months for getting lost on a walk, for using a curtain rod as a cane. My God, where are you Christians now? Where are you? Where is your outrage? His family could not bail him out, and not because they didn't want to bail him out, by the way, but because the moment he was released, his ICE immigration detainer kicked in. They feared that he would be shipped to a federal detention facility and exported to a third world country. A reasonable fear, by the way. They tried to navigate the system. His attorney of the Legal Aid Bureau of Buffalo worked out a plea deal specifically designed to clear the immigration detainer so that he could go home. ICE actually agreed not to detain him. The system on paper appeared to work. On February 19th, he posted bail. He walked out of the Erie County Holding Center. His attorney expected him to be transferred to the ICE facility and released from there, and then he was going to be released and reunited with his family. But that is not what happened. Border Patrol agents responding to a standard notification from the Erie County Sheriff that an immigrant was released, picked him up. So they automatically notified ICE that an immigrant got released. They'd held him briefly, and then they determined he wasn't supposed to be in their custody, and they had legal refugee status. So what did these people do? They drove him to a Tim Hortons. They did not call his family. They did not call his attorney. They did not notify anyone. This nearly blind man who needs a cane to walk, they dropped him off 5 miles from his family. He didn't have the ability to read street signs. But Border Patrol said he showed no signs of distress or mobility issues, that he had no special needs assistance. A blind man with a cane. His family searched for him for 5 days. They opened a missing persons case, a special victims case. Police closed a missing persons case on him based on the system that lost him. And his body was found Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. 4 miles, by the way, from where they dropped him off. This man walked in the cold for 4 miles and he died on an American street. But he did not leave this place alone. He has a wife and 2 sons. This man survived a genocide. He survived military brutality. He survived more than a year in a county jail. Have you ever been to a county jail? 14 people in a room, a toilet in the middle of the cell. You live there for a year. And we're supposed to believe somehow that this is accidental. We're supposed to believe that Border Patrol did everything in their power to assist him, that he had no special needs, that he had no mobility needs. We're supposed to believe this. I tell you always to document. This is one that I am documenting. I'm documenting when, where, and how it happened so that when we escape this fascist cruelty, that people are held accountable. And what is New York doing, by the way? Kathy Hochul, the Attorney General. I don't know the Attorney General of New York. It escapes me right now. He did his time. Listen, I wasn't there when whatever happened with the police, but it seems to me that a blind man with a cane that doesn't speak English might find himself confused when armed police start attacking him for complying with orders that he can't understand. And now he's dead. What a pointless, senseless, cruel death. But let us not be confused. This death is on the shoulders of the Border Patrol that dropped him off, of the local police that refused to look for him, of their bosses, of their supervisors, of the county and the commission that funds those local police, of the people that fund Border Patrol. On everyone who left that man to die, they are responsible for his death. Let us stop pretending otherwise. Welcome to the Ignition News. I want to tell you story number 2. Something, again, you're probably not surprised about, but Kash Patel. Of course, you know the story about the U.S. men's team winning gold. You know that Kash Patel was there, that he spent about $100,000 to fly a private jet to go to the Olympics in Milan, while someone was apparently, there was this kid that was like at Mar-a-Lago. There's Nancy Guthrie. There's all of these crimes happening on our streets. There's literally a missing man. This man was missing. He's off in fucking Italy flying around on his private jet. So then Kash Patel pulls out the phone, calls the president, congratulates the gold team on their victory, dismissively makes fun of the women's team, which, by the way, has won 3 gold medals since 1980. 300% better. And you might think this is about Kash Patel, but it's not. The average age of the men in that room was 28 years old. These are grown adult men. Grown adult men with the privilege of representing the United States of America. And they failed that moment. They failed to live up to the promise of dignity, respect. They failed to live up to the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. They capitulated the system of white supremacy, male white supremacy. And it's easy to blame Kash Patel because he's this, smarmy little guy wasting our money on his private jets. But let us not forget, it took every one of those men standing there in that locker room to do exactly the same thing, to dismiss their fellow American citizens who also won a gold, to dismiss the valor and integrity of the people who fought for their freedom. Five players skipped the White House visit. The women's team declined entirely. Make of that what you will. You don't get to claim Victor as an American hero and then disgrace everything that this country is actually supposed to stand for. You don't get to do that. You don't get to be remembered as an American hero when you act as an American disgrace. You don't get to be remembered as a victor when you push people down, when you punch down, when you pull down, when you make fun of fellow colleagues. I grew up in a time when they put Olympic people on Wheaties boxes. I don't even know if they still do that. But do you know why they did that? They put those people on Wheaties boxes for a reason. They put those people on Wheaties boxes because when your kids go to the store and they grab a box of Wheaties, they're supposed to look up to the person on that box and they're supposed to say, I want to be like that person. I want to be like that person because they're a hero, because they toiled and they worked and they pulled every last inch of strength out of themselves and they worked and they fought and they pushed themselves to be better and better and better and better and better and better until they were the best. And they put them on a fucking Wheaties box with the orange background to be celebrated for that specifically. None of those men deserves to be on a Wheaties box for one simple reason. They failed the easiest test of all. Moral courage. Good job, Kodak. They failed the test of moral courage. Even my dog is pissed about this, by the way. Even my dog. We don't celebrate moral cowardice in this country. I mean, some people do. My dog does not. Some people celebrate moral cowardice, but we do not. Got distracted by the dog, all this stuff. All right, let's move on. Welcome to the Ignition News. Before we close out the show, I do want to ask you one thing. Please go find us on your favorite platforms, Spotify, Substack, Apple Podcasts, whatever that is. Click that follow button. If you're listening to us on one of those platforms, leave a comment. Everyone who leaves a comment on the show on Spotify or Apple, I will read those comments, even if it's a mean comment. So if you're one of the trolls over here on TikTok, go to Spotify and leave a mean comment, and we'll go read it on air, and you'll actually get the attention you so desperately desire. Let's get into the last story. In 2025, more people left the United States than moved into the United States. We had a net negative migration number for the first time in a long time, at least. The last time that happened, it was 1935. That was during the Great Depression. Some people are calling it the Donald Dash. The Wall Street Journal analyzed data from 15 countries and found that 180,000 Americans moved to those countries in 2025 alone. Now, the White House is celebrating this net migration number as a victory against their battle against immigration. But what is also happening is people are fleeing the United States of America. How do we know that? Well, in Portugal, the number of American residents has jumped 500%. Ireland welcomed 10,000 Americans in 2025. Applications for British citizenship from America was 6,600 this year and in the year ending in March. Irish passports issued to Americans hit an estimated 40,000 last year. And citizenship reunification, up 48% and still climbing. There is, listen to this, there's currently a month-long backlog at the State Department of Americans who want to formally give up their citizenship. The Trump administration is cheering this exodus. They want fewer people coming in. They want their ethnic cleansing. But people are voting with their feet. The seriousness of this moment is hitting people, and they are fleeing the United States of America. So how does this all tie in together? Well, you have a man who could survive a genocide but could not survive living in America. You have an FBI director leading the corruption of an American hockey team, ruining their reputation, and more Americans are leaving than are coming to America. These people that are leaving, they are not traitors. They're not cowards. They're making a rational calculation. You can debate the merits, of course, of staying or fighting. And we could do a whole show on that. And we've talked about that before. But you cannot dismiss what the numbers represent. People are saying very clearly, this is not the country that I thought it was. We have to do better. We have to demand better. And if you're staying to fight, you have to actually stay and you have to be in the fight. And of course, my lawyer will constantly remind you to tell you that blah, 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 this Ignition News is a nonviolent movement. We don't support violence, all that shit. Okay. But we have to be in the battle. And so, my last question today for you, are you leaving or are you staying? That's the show, everybody, for today. It's February 26th. But before we go, in the spirit of Rebel Radio, I want to give you a challenge. I've been filming a documentary about flock safety cameras. And one of the things I've been doing while filming that is I've uncovered a really brilliant form of activism. If you're not familiar with flock safety cameras, go back and watch some of my videos or my posts about it. They are AI-powered surveillance cameras that are actively robbing you of your Fourth Amendment protections by actively surveilling you all of the time, connected to a massive network of 80,000 cameras taking 2 billion images a month, sharing that with almost every police force that has them. They're in HOAs, shopping malls, and police stations and all over the street. You've probably seen one before. They're the black box in the solar camera, the solar panel in the camera. Those cameras are always recording you and always saving that information. So what I've been doing lately is I will go stand by those cameras in a place I'm legally allowed to stand, and I will film the cars with my camera setup. I will film the cars passing. I'll film them passing by. You can do that with your cell phone if you want. What do you think happens when you do that? People get uncomfortable. Why? Because they don't want to be filmed. They start asking questions. What are you filming? Why are you filming me? What are you doing? I'm a little bit of a jerk, so I say, well, I'm capturing all of the information about your vehicle, the license plate, the scratches on your car, the small details, and I'm storing that information permanently. Because that's what Flock does. And it allows me to engage them in a conversation. And if they want me to delete the footage, I do. It's actually one of my ways that I show that I'm in it for their interest. So they say, well, I'm uncomfortable. I say, okay, well, I'll delete your footage. But guess what? This thing right here does not delete your footage. And it's been great. And as Robert said, it's a great way to start a conversation if they're willing to listen. And not everyone is. But if you're looking for a way to push back against surveillance capitalism, which is a tool of fascism, man, I think you should give that a try. I know I haven't always been good about giving solutions. That's a real powerful, effective way that you can fight fascism. It's 2626, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you back on the next show. That's a